Thank you, Caroline. Minister, Dublin Airport contributes quite a lot to the economy of the area, quite a lot of jobs in the area, quite a lot to Dublin and indeed to the east coast of the country as a whole, as you and I both know and both appreciate. However, there are some ongoing issues in the locality surrounding the airport, specifically with regard to airport noise in local communities. Residents in Santry, for example, Minister, in places like Santry Close, Royal Oak and Turnipin, have ongoing issues with noise from low-flying aircraft. Incidents are occurring at night time and disturbing sleep for many. DAA appear to be fobbing it off, in effect. They're saying that these flights that are occurring late at night, early in the morning, are empty planes returning to base. But of course, it doesn't matter if a plane is empty or if it's full. As far as an individual is concerned, as far as a household is concerned, it's still flying over their house. It's still making the same amount of noise. The engines are still the same size. The Minister, you might recall, met with a number of residents from the affected area, Turnipin, back in October 2016. And you promised to assist, and they received you warmly, and you received them warmly, and it was very constructive. Nevertheless, things haven't progressed from there to date. As the crow flies, in the same way as the plane flies, I suppose, Turnipin is actually quite a bit closer to the noise paths, the noise contours of the airport than many other areas are that are receiving a lot more assistance from DAA. So, Minister, I'm hoping that you can encourage DAA to expand the noise insulation programme to residents in Turnipin and Santry. Hoping you can use your considerable influence, the weight of your office, to impress upon DAA the need to do this. I believe it's the right thing to do. There was recently a drop-in clinic held by DAA on June 27th, only a week ago. Unfortunately, residents were given very little notice of this, only 2 days' notice. Indeed, my own office weren't given formal notice of it, only found out via social media by chance. Nevertheless, despite that, by DAA's own admission, this clinic attracted more turnout than many of their other local clinics in areas where this insulation programme already exists. Accordingly, it's quite clear that this is an issue, it's a pressing issue for communities like Turnipin, Royal Oak, Santry Close. And there are concerns about the new runway, Minister. The new runway obviously is ambitious. It's part of the growth of Dublin Airport. It's part of the success story of Dublin Airport, Dublin tourism, and the bouncing back of our economy. But nevertheless, concerns exist about the new runway and the impact that this will have on the local communities. More flights, more noise, more hours. Maybe more broken promises with regard to a lack of nighttime flights. There are concerns about DAA possibly applying for 24/7 operations, meaning low-flying aircraft over residential areas during the middle of the night, a thing that is already occurring and is being explained away as empty aircraft rather than full aircraft. And again, of course, Minister, doesn't make a difference. Still aircraft. Residents have been unimpressed about Fingal County Council being appointed as the noise regulator, and they don't believe it'll make a difference, Minister. So perhaps you might explain to them how you believe it will make a difference. They believe there's a possible conflict of interest, that Fingal County Council is obviously receiving rates from the airport. They are one of the biggest beneficiaries of Dublin Airport being in Fingal County Council area, and yet they're also charged with regulating Dublin Airport. So, Minister, you might perhaps take some of your time to explain that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm delighted to see that the Deputy is interested in this matter. I fully appreciate the effect that excessive aircraft noise has on communities. As the Deputy may be aware, the Aircraft Noise Dublin Airport Regulation Act was signed into law on the 22nd of May 2019. The main purpose of that Act is to manage noise at Dublin Airport and to give applicability to EU Regulation 598/2014. Regulation 598 sets out the rules and procedures with regard to the introduction of noise-related operating restrictions at European Union airports. The Act provides for the first time that noise generated by aircraft activity at Dublin Airport will be subject to extensive detailed assessment, to ongoing monitoring and to regular review. I raised the bar in relation to what the DAA, as the operator of Dublin Airport, is required to do in terms of complying with noise rules. The Act is about ensuring the sustainable development of the airport, which balances the ambitions of the DAA, the needs of business and tourism interests, and the rights of local residents. The Act respects existing planning and development and environmental laws and is underpinned by binding EU regulations and directives on environmental and aircraft noise. It ensures that every time a planning application at Dublin Airport is considered, the aircraft noise implications are considered also. Fingal County Council has been designated as the independent noise regulator for Dublin Airport. Any decision on noise to be made by the Council in this role as noise regulator will be evidence-based and will be fully in adherence with the requirements of national law and EU regulations. The process, as provided for in the Act, requires that at least once every 5 years the noise regulator will undertake an assessment of the noise situation at the airport. This will include taking into account any future developments planned at the airport. Where the noise regulator identifies a noise problem on foot of that assessment, it will adopt the so-called balanced approach. The balanced approach allows the regulator to decide what steps need to be taken by the DAA to offset the impact of such noise. It might mean more home insulation, it might mean adjustment to flight paths, or it might require physical works to act as sound barriers. That will be a matter for the regulator following its detailed assessment. Importantly, this process will be open and transparent. There will be public consultation, and at each stage the regulator will be required to publish information and evidence and keep all stakeholders abreast of developments. The decision of the regulator will be accompanied by a report detailing how the decision was reached, which will include a non-technical summary. I would like to clarify that the Act must be read in tandem with the EU Regulation 598 and with EU Directive 2002/49/EC, the Environmental Noise Directive, because the noise regulator must have regard to all three of these in carrying out its regulatory assessment of noise. The Act therefore sets out a process for noise regulation regime that allows for full stakeholder engagement, along with an independent appeals process which will provide certainty to stakeholders. In essence, the Act sets out a structured approach to assessing and addressing aircraft noise at Dublin Airport, with the objective of facilitating airport development and expansion in a way that minimises, as far as practicable, the noise impact of that expansion.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, I note that in your response it says it ensures that every time there's a planning application at Dublin Airport, the aircraft noise considerations or implications are considered also. As you might recall from our meeting in October 2016, for many of these communities, it's the current ongoing noise issues. It's the consistent breach of the operating hours of the airport that are causing issues. It isn't necessarily the future planning permissions or expansions of the airport. Rather, it's an inability to adhere to the existing commitments given by the airport, and an inability for the communities of Turnipin and Royal Oak to get accurate measurements in relation to the noise that they are suffering on an all too regular basis. I'm conscious that I have a minute left, Minister, so I might just point out that we are at the end of term, of course. We've had many differences on a number of policy issues, including electric scooters, bus connects and metro. Indeed, Minister, you called me a populist on the record in our last interaction on the Dáil floor, but nevertheless, this work has a human dimension, Minister. I'm very conscious this is the final interaction before the Dáil concludes. So despite our many and varied differences on many transport policy matters, which of course remain, I understand you have a significant birthday on Thursday, Minister, so I want to wish you a good 70th birthday. I hope you have a nice day, I hope you enjoy the recess, and I hope you come back fully recharged and restored to explore and discuss the many and varied transport matters that affect our city and country. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank the Deputy for those totally and utterly irrelevant remarks, but they make a lot more sense than an awful lot of the things that he said in the past. But I would like to respond in the spirit to which it's meant, and say that I will, of course, take to heart everything that he said today and treat them with equal seriousness. Thank you.